Hello. All right, Great Britain. We're actually going to talk a lot, not next week, but the week after, about the British Empire, Great Britain. But with nationalism, the British, like, I guess I shouldn't say British, English nationalism, this sense of we are English, is going to start growing during this time period too. Okay. So what you're looking at here is England, Scotland, and Ireland. Okay. Okay, real quick, just so you're aware. The island here, the island is called Britain. All right. There's two countries on the island of Britain. Wales, sort of. Wales. Don't worry about Wales. But you have England over here, and then you have Scotland up here. And yes, okay, Wales is over here. So anyway, Scotland was taken over by England like forever ago. We're talking like the medieval period. And as soon as that happened, Scotland and England became a united kingdom. Okay. Then, whenever England comes over here and took over Ireland, Ireland became part of their empire. All right. So you have England, that is the parent country, the mother country, and here's her colony, Ireland. The island is Britain, and the empire is going to be called the Greater Britain, because as soon as she took over Ireland, greater than Britain, it's not just the island of Britain anymore. Do you see why it's called Great Britain? Greater than Britain? Yes? Okay. There's one person we need to really deal with during this little section. Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria, she's English, all right? Oh, I have to get out of here. I don't know why it won't let me like zoom in. Here she is. There's Queen Victoria. Isn't she pretty? Queen Victoria was loved, absolutely loved. And I mean, when she was young, and when she's old too, but I mean, when she's young, she's very, very graceful. She's very, very educated. She's very kind to people. I mean, everybody loved Victoria. All right. She knows what she's doing. Like, she knows how to rule. She is the woman to marry. And of course, everybody wants to marry her because remember, if you marry the princess, what do you become? Well, she has her eyes set on somebody, a Germanic prince, Albert. This is actually their wedding picture. My brain just went elsewhere. Just a little side note. Okay, story time. It's because of her that we still in weddings wear white today, girls. That didn't happen before Victoria. Before Victoria, nobody went out and was like, I have to buy a wedding dress. Oh, it has to be white. What people did is they just wore whatever was their like nicest dress. All right. But as you see, this is their wedding picture. Victoria here is in this white dress, and Albert's in all his black stuff. And so, anyway, that's kind of, I don't know, continued on. Just a little side note. Okay. So, back to the story. So, Victoria actually fell in love with Albert, okay, a German prince who was also like her, I don't know, first or second cousin, but you know, whatever. Who cares? But anyway, they end up getting married and they actually liked each other. They didn't get married because they had to. They got married because they wanted to. All right. That being said, they're going to have them some kids. Just a few. Look at this. Albert, Victoria, and then see all these kids? Oh, that's Victoria there. Well, that's okay. Look at this. So, okay, so that's Victoria. There's Albert. We have that's a lot of kids. That's a whole lot of kids. Check out Victoria's grandkids. Oh my gosh. You're looking at leaders of Europe. What's going to end up happening is all of these, like all of her kids, especially her daughters. Let me zoom out and go back. Especially her daughters. Okay. Her daughters are all going to be married off to other like princes in Europe. Okay. And so, y'all, we're in the late 1800s here. So when we get to World War One, just understand that World War One, all of the royal family, they're all like related from each country because one daughter, and I don't know which daughter's which, but one daughter is the Empress of Germany. One daughter is the Empress of Austria. One daughter is the Empress in Italy. One daughter is the Empress in Russia. So just understand it's definitely a family thing, which kind of makes it sad. But I'm going to go into that a little bit more later. But if you look at her grandkids, oh my gosh, like that's all royalty and high nobility in Europe. Okay. Um, Something terrible happened though. So Victoria's very educated. She's actually running England pretty well. She has the biggest empire in the world. I mean, things are just great. She's actually happy. Like she's glad that her husband is Albert. Everything's wonderful. And then you know the story. He dies. It's fairly sudden, yeah. And she goes into mourning. I've mentioned this a little bit before. Um, whenever whenever you would go into mourning back then, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm sad. You had to like outwardly show how sad you were. Okay. So as a result of that, um, you had to wear black. It's my kind of thing. But you had to wear black and you wore black like all the time. All right. Women, they were supposed to wear black for a calendar year. So it was like, oh, I'm sad. And then once the year's over, woohoo! You weren't supposed to go to like parties. And if you did go to a party or a feast, you just kind of you were very calm. You weren't supposed to like drink and stuff. You weren't supposed to wear like flashy jewelry or makeup or like pretty hairdos. You were supposed to look very sullen and sad because you're in mourning, right? Victoria goes into mourning. She really loved Albert. All right. Again, this is not a situation like we talked about before where they got married because they had to. She really loves him and she goes into mourning. And you see a total difference in her. And kids always are like, oh my gosh, yeah, she gained weight. Who cares about the weight? Look at her though. When you looked at her earlier, look at that. She's very plain. She does have jewelry on. You'll see her in her white pearls a lot. Okay. She does have her crown on because I mean she's queen, she's empress, but she's very plain. You're gonna see her often with a veil. You're gonna see her almost always in black or white coming. I mean for the rest of her life. And what's crazy is I'm about to sneeze. Y'all, I'm gonna sneeze in every video, right? Hi. Sorry. What would class be without me sneezing? That being said, for like the next 40 years, Victoria is in mourning. She didn't just stay in mourning for one calendar year. She stayed in mourning for the rest of her life. She never got married again. She never, like, anytime she went to like parties, she would walk in, she would do her thing, and then she would leave. She was in mourning for the rest of her life, which is really kind of sad if you think about it. And there's a lot of pictures of her. I want you to see all these pictures. I also want you to notice something else, by the way. This, let me go back and show you this. Uh-oh. That's a painting. Victoria in her young years. It's a painting. That's not. That's not. What has just been invented? These are actual, real photographs. Okay? Look at her. Doesn't she? I mean, look at her face. She looks so sad. Here she is later. Just sad, yeah? Here she is later. Like always in black and white. I think that's the last one. So anyway, even though she's like in mourning for the rest of her life and stuff, the people of England loved her to death. She was definitely their queen, their princess, and there was this idea of being like her. And it's this time period that we have a lot of our like very stereotypical ideas of English people. Um, I mean, yes, there's stereotypes from before, but being very prim and proper because she was very prim and proper. Look at her. She's all covered up. We have discussed, we've looked at clothes throughout history, and I told y'all during the French Revolution and before the French Revolution, there was a lot of skin showing. Even Queen Elizabeth in the 1500s, if you remember, her dresses were pretty low cut. Look at Victoria. The Victorian time period, ladies, you're going to see the women. I mean, you can't show neck. Shoulders, oh my gosh. Ankles, what is this called? Wrist, ugh. You're very covered up in Victorian times. There's an entire like I just said it, Victorian. There's an entire like style that comes from this time period, the Victorian style. It's ornate, but it's like classy ornate. It's not like Baroque ornate, even though I love Baroque, but still. Anyway, so the people loved Victoria. They have this feeling of I'm English and I'm glad to be her person. I'm glad to belong to her kingdom. So we're going to deal more with Victoria whenever we look at the British Empire, but that'll get us for now. Okie dokie.